Have you ever found a secret that was so big it could change everything you know about your family? Imagine being a prince and hiding behind a big wooden door while you listen to a sneaky plan being made by people you are supposed to trust. This is exactly what happened to Prince William, and it started a huge fight that no one saw coming. I have always felt very strongly about doing the right thing, and I have been watching very closely to see what everyone else in the royal family has been doing lately. A new and scary story is moving through the British royal family like a cold wind. People who know a lot about the royals say that Prince William recently went on a secret trip. He did not tell anyone he was going. He went to one of King Charles's private houses to look at how it was being run and to see if the buildings were in good shape. This house has been looked after for a very long time by a woman named Annabel Elliot. She is the younger sister of Queen Camilla. She picks out the furniture and the colors for the walls. The trip was a big secret, but what happened next surprised everyone. While William was looking around the house, he accidentally heard a private talk that he was never supposed to hear. He was standing behind a closed door when he heard Annabel Elliot and Camilla talking about plans for the house. The things they said were so shocking that they would make any important royal person feel very upset. People who work at the palace say that William's reaction was very fast and very cold. He was not happy at all. He has not acted this way in a long time. He immediately started taking big steps to find out the truth about what was going on. At the same time, Camilla and her sister are trying to keep their plans going in secret. Everyone is asking what William heard that made him so mad. What are Camilla and Annabel Elliot trying to hide from the rest of the family? These questions are making everyone at the palace very curious and a little bit worried. The late afternoon sun was shining long shadows across the beautiful green grass of the royal house in a place called Wiltshire. The birds were singing, and it looked very peaceful, but Prince William did not feel peaceful at all. His eyes were sharp, and he was looking for problems. He was not a young man anymore who just believed everything he was told. Since he started managing the big royal business called the Duchy of Cornwall in the year 2022, he had become very good with numbers. He knew when something did not add up. A little voice in his head told him that something was wrong behind these old stone walls. This house was a special place that King Charles loved very much. For 20 years, the king had let Annabel Elliot do all the decorating. Annabel was more than just a worker because she was Queen Camilla's sister. She was the only person allowed to design the royal houses for a long time. This started a long time ago in the early 2000s because Camilla wanted her sister to have the job. This made a very close bond between the family's taste and the money the royal family had to spend. William walked slowly down the long hallway made of white marble. The sound of his shoes made a clicking noise on the hard floor. He thought about a money report that was still on his desk back at his home in Kensington Palace. The report showed that the money spent on fixing up the house called Ray Mill had gone up way too much in the last 3 years. This happened right around the time the old queen passed away and his father became the king. Everyone knew that Camilla liked her sister best, but William felt like this was more than just being nice to family. He felt like they were using their power in a bad way that was not fair. He stopped in front of a wall that had new silk fabric on it. He touched the soft fabric and thought about how much it must have cost. He knew that Annabel Elliot was not just getting paid for her work. It seemed like she was getting a lot of extra money for projects that never seemed to end. William knew Annabel was a very smart woman. She always found ways to make her own bills look like they were part of the royal budget to save old buildings. William was not trying to be mean, but he felt it was his job as the future king to clean up the messy way things were being done. He looked at the old furniture that had been fixed and the new lights that looked like diamonds hanging from the ceiling. He saw that the papers saying the work was done were not very good. They did not have enough proof. He looked at a bill for a smaller company and saw that it was owned by friends of the Elliot family. This seemed like a trick. A heavy feeling came over William. He knew that his investigation would lead him right to Camilla. She was now the most important woman sitting next to his father. Since the big party when his father became king in 2023, Camilla had a lot of power in every part of royal life. It looked like she was using this house to build a safe place for her own family to have money. King Charles did not say anything about the special treatment Annabel was getting, and this made William even more determined to find the truth. He could not let the house stay a secret place where bad things happened with money. Every room he walked through had Annabel's style. It was very fancy, but it cost way too much money. It was pretty, but the costs were confusing. He felt a big fight coming. Deep down, William was not just looking at a house. He was trying to fix a system where people got jobs just because they were friends or family instead of being the best at what they did. As it started to get dark outside the gardens, William stood very still by the window. He knew that people would soon find out he was there. His being there was a sign. The bad things he saw were just the beginning. He looked calm on the outside, but he was very angry on the inside. He knew there would be a fight between the new way of doing things and the old way where people had special prizes just because of who they knew. William squeezed his hand into a fist. He felt the cold metal of the door handle. This surprise visit showed him that his worries were true. This was not about what color the walls were anymore. This was a battle to keep the royal family honest and good. William moved very softly across the thick carpet made of wool. It was a very expensive carpet that was made to be quiet so no one could hear him walking. The west side of the house was a private area. The reports said that workers were fixing the air conditioning there. But William did not see any workers, and the security guards were acting very strange. William had been in the army before, so he knew when something was not right. He did not walk straight down the hall. Instead, he turned into a small side path that was hidden behind big paintings of old kings and queens. He got closer to a room where the art people usually met. The big wooden door was open just a little bit. He could hear voices speaking softly. William stopped moving. He held his breath so he could hear better. One voice belonged to Annabelle Elliot. Her voice was a bit deep, and she sounded like she was used to telling people what to do. Then he heard the calm voice of Queen Camilla. His stepmother was not supposed to be here. Her schedule said she was somewhere else. William felt a cold shiver go down his back. He realized they were not talking about colors or pillows. They were using big words about land and trusts and keeping money for a long time. He put his ear closer to the door. He could see through the small opening. Annabelle was looking at a map of the land around the house. Her finger was pointing at the best parts of the farm. William felt very upset inside. He loved his father, but he knew he had to protect the royal things for the future. He could see that Annabelle was trying to do something sneaky. She did not just want a paycheck for being a designer. With Camilla's help, she was trying to change the rules so that her family would own parts of the estate forever, even after the king was gone. Camilla whispered about making sure the Elliot family had a good future and taking power away from the people who usually make the choices. These words hurt William's heart. He felt like he could not trust them anymore. He knew that if he ran into the room right then, it would just be a big family argument. Without proof, he would lose the fight. Slowly, he put his hand into his vest pocket. He pulled out a tiny digital recorder. He had started carrying it to remember ideas or things from meetings. He moved very carefully so his clothes would not make a sound. He turned the recorder on. At that moment, William felt like he was watching a movie about his own family. He heard Annabelle laugh a little bit. She talked about how they could trick the people who checked the money by using fake bills and companies that did not really exist. Every word they said about taking things was being recorded. This was the proof he needed. His heart was beating very fast because he was so mad. This house was a place his father loved, but these two women were trying to tear it apart for themselves. When the voices inside started to get quiet and he heard the sound of a teacup hitting a plate, William backed away very quietly. He leaned against the cold wall. The recorder felt heavy in his pocket. Everything was silent. He knew that after today he could never be friends with his stepmother in the same way again. The sound of the teacup was like a bell saying the secret talk was over. William did not wait at all. He fixed his clothes and took a deep breath to stop being so mad. Then with a strong move, he pushed the heavy door open and walked right in. When the Prince of Wales walked in, it was like a blast of cold winter air. Annabelle Elliot was standing by a big table with maps and plans on it. She was so scared that she dropped her pen on the floor. Her face turned as white as a ghost. She had been feeling very powerful just a minute ago, but now she was shocked. Queen Camilla stayed very still. She was used to being in trouble and knew how to stay calm, but her eyes were small and sharp because she was worried about what William knew. William did not run. He walked slowly to the middle of the room. His shoes walked right over the papers on the table. Those papers were the plans to steal the royal property. He did not look at Camilla because he did not want to fight her yet. Instead, he looked straight at Annabelle. He did not see her as a sister or an artist anymore. He saw her as someone who was hurting the royal family. In a quiet but strong voice, William told them what he had heard. He did not need to yell. He just told them the facts. He talked about the fake projects and the plan to take over the house. Every word he said made the room feel very heavy. He saw Annabelle's hands shaking. She had to hold onto the table so she would not fall down. She tried to tell lies and say he heard her wrong. She said she was talking about saving history and not stealing money. She even tried to act tough and looked him in the eye. She thought that because her sister, the Queen, was there, she was safe. She thought William could not prove anything because there were no other people in the room to hear them. This only made William more sure he was doing the right thing. He looked at Annabelle and smiled a tiny bit, but it was a cold smile. It was the smile of someone who has already won. He did not show them the recorder yet. He wanted them to keep lying for a while longer. William was so calm that it was scary. Annabelle felt like she was standing in front of a judge. He turned and looked out the window at the garden. He did not say anything else. He knew that her excuses were just more lies. His long silence made her very nervous. When he finally looked at them again, he was not angry anymore. He was just certain. He left the room without saying he was sorry or saying it was okay. His footsteps were loud in the hall. He had the secret recorder in his pocket. In his head, he was already planning a big investigation. He knew this was just the first part of the fight, and he would not stop until the truth was out in the light. The car ride back to London was very quiet. William did not waste any time. The street lights outside the car made shadows on his face while he thought. As soon as he got home to Kensington Palace, he called his best money experts and lawyers. These were people he trusted who did not work for the king or the queen. This was a secret mission. He knew that if the news got out, it would be very bad for the whole royal family. In the next few days, William's office became a very busy place. Big folders with 15 years of records from the Ray Mill house arrived in secret. Experts looked at every single line. They looked at bills for paintings and carpets. William worked with them. He saw that the money being paid to Annabelle's company was way more than it should be. The more he looked, the more he found. He saw that Annabelle's name was not on the contracts. Instead, the money went through many other people and companies first. This made it very hard to see where the money was really going. It was like a fog that hid the truth. William used a black pen to mark all the bad numbers. He felt very sad because his father had been tricked by these numbers. Across the palace, people started to get worried. But William did not tell anyone what he was doing. His silence was a warning. He heard that Annabelle and Camilla were trying to hide what they did. Computers at the house suddenly broke. People who worked with the money quit their jobs and were given a lot of money to be quiet. William could see it all happening in his mind. He could see Annabelle shredding papers and trying to fix the contracts before he could see them. But William was one step ahead. His team had already found copies of the papers at banks and from the people who sold the fabric and furniture. These were papers that Camilla could not erase. William felt like a serious boss, but also like a sad son. He looked at a picture of his father on his desk. His father was smiling and had no idea that things were going wrong. William wanted to save the family name. Late one night, a helper brought a green folder to his desk. It was a report that proved people were spending money they were not supposed to. It showed that the same work was being paid for 2 or 3 times. William read every page. He knew he had the winning cards now. Outside, it was raining very hard in London. The sound of the rain was like a knock on the door saying it was time to act. William closed the folder. He looked toward the king's palace. The secret work was done. Now it was time to tell the king the truth. The light from his desk lamp made the white papers look very bright. William sat very still in his library. The room smelled like old books. The report in front of him was proof that people he loved had lied to him for a long time. Every page had a little colored sticker on it to show where the problems were. He could see exactly how the money moved. It started with the king's money, then went to secret companies, and finally ended up with Annabelle Elliot. It was a very smart plan, and it made William feel very mad but also very sorry for his father. His father trusted his family so much that he never thought they would do this to him. In the quiet room, William picked up the small recorder. He did not need to listen to it again. He remembered every word. He remembered the laugh they had about breaking the rules. He put the recorder into a small box with a lock. He was very careful with it because it was very important. William felt very strong when he saw that Annabelle and Camilla had failed to hide their tracks. They had tried to delete emails and change files, but they were not fast enough. Their mistakes showed that they were used to getting away with things. William stood up and looked at a picture of his grandmother, the late Queen. He felt like he had to protect what she had built. Telling the royal council about this was not just about being mean. It was about making sure the royal family lasted for a long time. He could imagine the faces of the people on the council when they saw the proof. William put the papers away one last time. He made sure they were perfect. He closed his briefcase and it made a loud click sound. It was like the sound of a starting gun for a race. No more secrets, no more being nice. He was ready for a big change. As the sun started to come up over London, William felt calm. He felt like a soldier ready for a big day. He knew that when he showed this folder to King Charles and the council tomorrow, everything would change forever. The room where the royal council met was very quiet and everyone felt nervous. It was hard to breathe because it was so tense. There were candles and big lights, but it felt dark. King Charles sat at the middle of the long table. He looked very tired and sad. Queen Camilla was next to him. She tried to look normal, but her hands were shaking under the table. William walked in and he looked as cold as ice. He put his briefcase on the table and the sound made everyone jump. He started his talk very slowly. He did not yell. He just showed them the papers and the numbers. He showed them how the money was hidden. The people on the council looked at the papers and could not believe it. William stayed focused. He watched his father's face. At first the king did not believe it, then he looked very hurt. When William played the recording from the recorder, the whole room heard Annabelle and Camilla's voices. Everyone heard them talking about taking control and laughing at the rules. It was a very bad moment for them. Their fancy clothes and nice manners did not matter anymore because everyone knew the truth. Annabelle Elliott sat at the end of the table and her face was very white. She was not acting tough anymore. She looked small and scared. She looked at her sister for help, but Camilla could not help her. Everyone was looking at Camilla with mean eyes. The queen had nothing to say, and that was the biggest proof of all. At the end of the meeting, the lawyers said that Annabelle had done a lot of things she was not allowed to do. William stood tall and watched. He was sad that his family was fighting, but he was happy that things were being fixed. He did not look like he was bragging. He just looked like he was doing his job. After a long time, the king made a big choice. He was shaking, but he signed a paper that said Annabelle Elliott could not work for the royal family anymore. She lost her job and her special prizes. All her contracts were ended right then. A new group of people was put in charge to make sure the money was safe. The old way of doing things was over. Camilla stayed the queen, but no one trusted her like they used to. She was all alone now. When the meeting was over, William was the last one to leave. He went outside and took a deep breath of the night air. The problems were fixed. The secrets were gone. He walked away looking like a man who had saved something important. Under the street lights, his shadow was long and strong. It showed that from now on things would be honest and fair because the Prince of Wales was watching.